Hi guys, just want to touch base on gold and crude oil today and what I see on the day and what actually happened. So let's start off with gold. As the market I was actually trading today. I didn't actually trade crude in the end. And so what we've been seeing on gold is we see the bottom come in at 1240s, and I was looking for this to try possibly break down further. But since then we've just seen a change in the market, and we see this short covering coming in, and seeing the market grinding higher. And also you can see on these moving averages now that the price is trading on top of the fast moving averages, and we are finding offer, and we are starting to to move back to the previous trading range that we was in previously before we broke out. So what I was anticipating maybe to happen here was this market to start to bracket at the lows of this range, but we just haven't seen that happen, and I got it wrong. So obviously you have to adapt to change, and that's what I will be doing now. But this is what I anticipated to maybe happen here. 2 seconds. So this is the previous. This was the bracket that I was expecting to maybe hold. I mean, we did see yesterday that sort of the doji and to the bearish side, where we opened lower, we opened just above the previous day's close, and we tested low, we tested higher, and we closed exactly the same. So what I was looking for today is maybe some sellers to continue to try sell this area, and for this bracket to potentially hold with a reversion back to 1240s. But as you can see, the 5 exponential moving average just pushed price higher. So what I'm going to run through quickly is some obvious sort of in hindsight, some obvious things that the market was telling us. So first of all, we'll look at the weekly, and this week we opened up in a bearish Vwap structure, and we found offer off the previous value area high, and the market started to become imbalanced. And today we pretty much opened just above this previous initial balance where we see sellers before, and we rotated back down into Vwap, and obviously we've seen responsive buyers. But what I was possibly looking to maybe happen here was a failed breakout and two-way trade come back into the market as we come back into value for a mean reversion. And we have seen some volume traded down here, and the point of control is still at 61. So I was looking for reversion down to 61s and into the lower 60s, maybe 55s. But we just didn't see that, and the market broke out, and we just continued to find offer here. And as we continue to rotate in this market higher above the initial balance, obviously value just pushed price up higher, and we basically see a breakout to the upside into support that I was looking at. So if we look at the week, the monthly as well, we can see that we opened this month very out of balance from the previous month, and all we've basically seen now is a reversion back to that previous established value. So also, like I said, the monthly is it was showing an imbalance to the buy side. And again, this was a sort of area I was looking for the market to possibly come in and see some two-way trade happen. But we just started to reference the 1.5 standard deviation, and as price started to see rotations above this area, we just eventually see offer come into the market and a breakout and a reversion back to that previous value. So what I was expecting to happen is, like I said, is maybe some support coming in, overhead resistance coming into the 67s and 68s, and maybe a two-way trade and a bracket forming this lower area. But we just couldn't see that. That just didn't play out, and I ended up being wrong on this area. So now I've touched base on that, I'm going to go through what I was looking at on the day. So first of all, we opened up, and we see obviously buyers push the market back out of value, and we see rotations to the buy side. And we started to see just two-way trade in the market as buyers and sellers were fighting above the previous day's range. So after the open, what we saw is into the news at 8:30, the market just saw rotation out of the previous day's range. We took out that previous high. I'm going to show this on the profile before this breakout happened. So we came up and we tested above this previous high here, and obviously the overnight high that we traded. This is Globex, but I'll also show it on the RTH. So we put in the high in the A period, and what I was looking for is the sellers to sell this back down, start to hold yesterday's higher day, a reversion back to 61s, and possibly a breakdown further as sellers continue to come in here. But what it looked like happened is almost like another short covering day, where Let me just run through what I've seen on the TPOs recently, so this makes sense to everybody. So the market was one time frame and lower. We came to this point here where before we were just rejecting value all the way down, and then on this day here we started to accept value, so we started to trade inside of value. So what we basically see was two-way trade inside the previous day's value. We couldn't put in a low. The next day we come in and we see sellers above the previous day value. We spike down, we find a buyer here below this previous day into 52s, and we just see two-way trade come back into the market on this day, continuing to one time frame down. On this day we then broke the one time frame in, and we just basically see a reversion to the mean as sellers were still coming in. And then when finally the market couldn't break below and put in a new low, we see a big short covering day in the market. And then we start to find more sellers. We found more sellers here, some two-way trade, but sellers, two-way trade sellers again coming in here, and the market just got too short and again couldn't trade down, so everyone covered. And you can see it in this profile here. We just see another short covering profile. And then the next day, which was yesterday, we see responsive sellers above that previous day, back to value. And then today we opened up, we tested inside value, we tested above the high, and we just found offer up. So what like I said, what I was looking for here is possible for this excess high to hold and the market to come back into the previous day range and balance two-way trade to come back into the market, as with a possible balance bracket forming. But we just didn't see this, and the market basically just started to one time frame up, and we see a breakout to the buy side. So what I did is I positioned myself just after the news. So the news came out, we see the market spike up a bit above the previous day. I got short into 67s with a stop above the high that we see put into the news, and I didn't want to see the market trade above 69.70s. And the reason being for this is there was an area that I was looking at on the profiles. I'll show you the distribution in a minute, and it was just into this area here. So what I was looking for is this top to be forming here, the next spike above this area, responsive sellers, and the market come in and start to potentially bracket with a destination trade to the low. We just didn't see this, as I said. Value just started to push price higher, and it pushed price through this level, and we see a breakout and a reversion back to last month's value. So what I did is I managed to get 1/3 scaled as we came back into value here, and then my second scale was into the previous value area high. So I never got scaled, I only got 1/3 scaled, and what the market actually ended up doing is just breaking out to the buy side, and I got stopped out as this breakout happened. And after that happened, there was nothing else for me to do, so I just kind of called it a day. I mean, I could have continued to trade crude, but I was a little bit frustrated with this because I thought, like I said, I thought we were going to possibly see two-way trade and balance come back into the market, and I was wrong and I got taken out. So I think this is a good learning exercise for everyone. This is why I wanted to go through this, because I don't always get things right, and sometimes I get things wrong, and on days like today when you get things wrong, sometimes it's just best to just step out the office and just come in with a fresh head on the next day. But that's what I try to do here, and as you can see, the market did look like we were going to see two-way trade continue in the market, as this in real time. Let me just try to find a good way to show you this. In real time, it looked like we possibly could see just two-way trade in the market. 2 seconds. So I locked the fill space. So at the time, this is what I was seeing in real time. So as you can see here, it does look like we could possibly see two-way trade in the market. We came up, I faded the high, looking for sellers to be responsive back in. We see that first rotation down, and we came back into the previous high of day, and we just couldn't find any sellers here. And we ended up basically seeing some rotations into the value area high. The market became imbalanced, and we see value push price through the high. And this is where we just see this breakout. I got stopped out into, like I said, into the initial balance high, and that was game over for me on that trade. If we do look at some of the higher time frames, which I was also looking at the time, I mean, we were also sort of referencing the quarterly developing value area low into the 68s, 69s. This is another reason I was using confidence in my trade for this, because I wanted to see rejection of this market now with the value just finally caught up, and we didn't. Bid overwhelmed, offer overwhelmed bid, and we ended up seeing a break back into the value area now. And also, I'm going to quickly show you the yearly. We was referencing the previous year's low into the again 64, so we just see a punch back into it, and what I wanted to see was responsive sellers pushing price back out of this value area and below the value area for the year. But we just haven't seen that, and the market is starting to one time frame higher. Like I said, we just see a breakout the current range we were in, and that was that done. So like I said, I was expecting maybe potentially a bracket to be starting to form here, and we still could, I suppose, on the larger time frame. I mean, there is going to be some support into this low, into the 87s, so maybe we're going to see a continued swing back up now to test this support, and then maybe come down and reference these lower prices. Yet that is yet to be seen. I mean, on the composite, we are back in value. I mean, before we were sort of seeing rotations in this lower distribution, and like I said, I was anticipating possibly for this bracket to form in this area and come in to fill in some volume in this low volume node. But we just haven't seen that, and again, the market just was opened up inside that big, large time frame composite value area, and we just see rotations up to the real extreme of this market now. So 1276 is going to be a line in the sand. I mean, if we can get offering to 1296s, then it's pretty much we pretty much probably will see a reversion back to 1292s, and where this is the highest price and highest traded area, fairest prices. So obviously at the moment there is buyers seeing potential in these lower prices, and this is the reaction we're seeing from it. I'm just going to quickly go through crude here. I just want to mention one more thing as well that I was looking at, which was the weekly moving averages. We sort of was hitting this week's the 5 EMA again into the 1268s, 6970s, and I was expecting maybe some large time frame sellers to be responsive here, and again they just wasn't here, and we just seen a punch through it now. So I mean, this could still hold, and we could find off a bit in the market tomorrow, but this is just something else that's leaning off regards to high time frame context. We'll quickly go through crude oil here now. Pretty wild day. I mean, some news came out of Iraq and sent the market flying upwards overnight. I mean, this was potentially a high for the year coming in. We see two-way trade and balance come back into this market, but overnight the market just broke out and become imbalanced again. I mean, we did see some balance coming in on the weekly time frame, as we've seen. You see, yesterday we were leaning off the weekly developing value area higher, but overnight this breakout has just created a further imbalance this week. And as you can see, the market just couldn't trade above below the 1.5 standard deviation, and we found offer into a new high after this massive move up overnight. So real interest in this market. I mean, I believe we traded over 300,000 contracts today. You can see this pretty large gap up in this market now. So this bracket that we were potentially going to see some rotations down in, the market's continued to one time frame. We've just seen this big gap now. So we've got two gaps below us that need cleaning up. But this market is just on its way, I imagine, to the 110s, $111 a barrel area. But there's some references from last year that we need to clean up now. So clearly this market has become pretty imbalanced now, and it was just going into today though, we open to see this massive gap up. So when we see these sort of days, I mean, we just expect two-way trade in the market, and we did see this for most of the day. We accepted these higher prices, we just see two-way trade, and then we see the imbalance into the close as we pushed higher. I don't actually have an RTH Vwap on this session, but most of this here was just off of the open, was just balance, and then we just see basically the mean price start to stabilise, and then we just see this punch off of Vwap into the close higher. So pretty cool market here currently. Some interesting developments, but you can clearly see here this previous bracket that we started to stall at the highs. We've just seen a massive breakout here now, and again we're most likely going to be coming up to reference this $110, $111 a barrel area. So pretty exciting market here, and anybody who did manage to catch this long before it happened, I mean, it was pretty hard to do because obviously it's probably mostly news fueled. I mean, it's funny how these events always happen around crucial times in crude oil. I mean, last year the high got made into the $110, $111 barrel in some sort of news conflict that drove the markets high. I think it was to do with Syria, possibly. I can't remember off the top of my head now, but the same thing with crude oil here. With just this spontaneous news has just come out, and just any excuse to drive prices higher here and put a new year high in. So again, if quite lucky if you could have been positioned for that move. Very bullish on today's RTH bar. So, but like I said, the main thing today would have just been looking for two-way rotational market. I mean, you could have caught this imbalance into the close. I wasn't actually watching this market live, as as I took a break, but very imbalanced market at the minute. Anyway, I hope you will trade safely today, and I'll catch you all tomorrow. Take care and goodbye.